Welcome to the Not Just Waiting podcast. I'm your host, Brianna Hoffman, and this is a space for women learning to wait well and live fully. Whether you're in the middle of uncertainty, transition, or just figuring out what's next, this podcast is here to remind you you are not behind, not forgotten, and definitely not just waiting. Let's dig into truth, grow in courage, and hold on to hope together. Hey friends, welcome back to the Not Just Waiting podcast. Today I'm joined by Jasin Ensley, an author, legal nurse, hospice specialist, and teacher whose life and work are deeply rooted in listening well and noticing what matters. For Nancy, writing has always been a way of paying attention, of remembering the moments that shape us, and processing the experiences that leave a lasting mark. Over the years, she's written across a wide range of genres, from memoir to literature to fiction and mystery and even children's books. Through both her writing and her work in hospice care, Nancy carries a unique perspective on life, loss, and the beauty found in meaningful moments. This conversation is reflective, grounding, and an invitation to slow down and notice where God is at in your own story. Let's dive in. Hey friends, welcome back to the Not Just Waiting podcast. I'm so glad you guys are here, and I'm so glad that I get to introduce you to Miss Nancy. We have already been giggling. She is so funny to me, and I cannot wait to share her with you. This is going to be a joy.
Thank you. I hope.
It'll
I
be
pray
so fun.
it will be fun. Yes,
Well,
absolutely.
this year on the podcast, we're talking about becoming because the podcast is called Not Just Waiting. And we know in seasons that we're waiting, we can do one of two things. We can sit on our couch and eat cookies and just wait, which is not super productive, sometimes fun, not super productive. And then there's another version of waiting, which is active waiting when we're doing something, whether that's talking to a friend, sending an email, writing a note, actually doing big work. But we're not into the big work at the moment. The small things are what's working in the waiting season. Small things. So today we're going to chat about some of the ways that you have been becoming in your life. So can I ask you some questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
perfect. My first question for us is, who do you sense God has been forming you into in this season, especially in ways that weren't visible or celebrated?
Since I'm Nancy, Jasin Ensley. Nice to meet you. And so happy to be here. Thank you for asking me. This is the winter season of my life. This portion of my life is not anyone I thought I would do. Most of my family didn't live this long. I had a uh, I had a mother-in-law at one of my marriages, and she lived to 105. And I told her when she was passing in hospice that I was going to live to 106. So I have a while to go, and I have a lot of waiting in the waiting room because God has told me so many times, slow down. Don't project and project the outcome. I've already got the outcome. It's like I liken it when I do my counseling, I liken it to going on stage in the play before they wrote the script. You're out there and oh my goodness, what did I forget? So I'm so far ahead of the process. So that's one of the things in waiting that I've had to learn to do. I've learned to breathe. I need to exercise, so it gives me that moment when I don't have the answers to get up and move. Every 20 minutes, I'm told I will become a stick or a robot if I sit longer longer than 20 minutes. And I've challenged that, of course, and I need to do that. I pray. Uh, my my God that that I know, my personal God, was always Jesus Christ. I took him when I was a little girl as my friend and my protector. We went to Catholic church, Catholic school, very rigid, very, very structured. I had a very difficult childhood, difficult. So I wound up with PTSD and abandonment issues. And that has played into my life. And I believe that built my character to always be ready, always have all the information I need. Write, write, write. Scribble. I can't open you up to this horrible room because it's supposed to look professional. So I can't move the computer because you would see notepads and things stuck everywhere. Beautiful message from all kinds of stuff. Even if my advice, if you want the advice, is to write. I have a journal, and I had a bad day the other day. I don't know what was wrong with me. I don't know. I was bound up or something, but I just wrote, wrote. When I read it, I waited a while and read it. When you read what you write, it's a lot different than what's in here and in here. A lot more of this, a lot more of that. And I haven't hidden my journals. I put them in a private place, but there are notes everywhere. And I write a book. My protagonists come awake between midnight and 3 in the morning. That's where I talk to them. My husband thinks I'm crazy because I'm talking. I said, you can't see them until you read the book. So that's really important to write because when you put it down, even if it's just a little note and you put it down on paper, I'm sure you've been through that. Notice something. So that journaling helps. Waiting in this part of my life, I just had a counseling session with a young lady, and she's very controlling person, and she always feels like people do not like her. She's not worthy. That's her main deep for many reasons. I said, you need to get rid of the little girl who's angry, frightened, lonely, fearful. Put her in a box and lock it. And that doesn't mean that she hasn't built you in some way, but look at the results from that. I said, you cannot change what other people do. They may be able to look at you as a kind of an object. Oh, I love to be like her, or I don't want to be like her. But I said, you can't change what other people think. If you feel like someone's attacking you, then just back off. Don't try and over, over, overcome their thoughts. That makes a big difference. So when God says, Nancy, I've got a plan for you, I'm thinking, what do you have? I'm retired. Took me 3 times to retire from nursing. I love nursing, and there is disappointment in that too, and I'll tell you later what that is. But he says, I have something for you to do with your skills. You still have them, and I have at least 15 women of different ages and young people who come for counseling. They come to my house. We have coffee. I always have donuts and stuff to eat because I need a little sugar to keep their energy. And I get so much out of that. And I don't know where it comes from. I'm thinking my experiences, and I've never stopped learning. Don't ever stop learning. Oh my goodness, no. If you have a blah moment and you're feeling down or you're just not getting the answers that you need, you're on a path that you're not sure you should take. Should I take a risk or not? Just just pray, just think, read something, even something that means nothing to you. I wrote a sci-fi book. I had no idea what I was doing. My grandson said he had drawn a picture. He's a very good artist, and he was about 14. And I said, "What is that?" And he said, "It's an alien. It's an alien, Grandma, and you need to write a book, a sci-fi." I said, well, "I don't know anything about. There's stars up there and planets and ships and stuff." And he said, you start with that. Just start with that. And so I took the risk. I gave it to my husband. He loves sci-fi. I don't really watch sci-fi. I'm very interested in actual things. I had to study so hard to have something believable in the fiction because I really think fiction always needs something that's believable because you might lose your attachment to your reader. So all of those things. So in this time of my life, I am blessed to be able to get on the floor and play with my great grandkids. to help them set up their little things. They laugh when I get up because it is odd, and I like them to laugh. I said, "You laugh at grandma as much as you want. I'll join with you because it is funny." So, all of those things are very important. Or take a nap. I've scientifically, I have heard and read many articles that especially as you age and your body needs to, it just needs to get reborn every day. And you need the ability to ward off infections and all of the things that are around you much more than you did before. And I said, just take a nap. And when you wake up from your nap, write down the first thing you think. It would be unbelievable what dream you had during that time that you may not remember in your REM sleep if you get that far. Write down what you wrote. I put carrots down the other day. I I don't know why, but I think because we have horses, there are horses down the way, and I always take the grandkids down to feed them. And usually I bring apples and carrots, and I didn't have any apples or carrots. So we had to pick dandelions or anything that was around where the horses are. And the people that own them say, it's just fine. You go ahead and do what you want. And I didn't have any carrots. So maybe, I don't know. Usually I'm so well prepared for everything, I think, and I didn't have any carrots. So you never know what you're going to wake up to, and
Yeah.
write it down. Write
That
it
was
down
some good insight.
and just think about it. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of the answer. I'm I don't know how many days I have left. Um, I don't really care. Working in hospice gave me a whole different vision of the transition from the living here and the living. Okay.
Now I have things to like process and I have follow up questions, but I'm not going to take us down that trail, even though I really want to. Thank you for sharing that in your season, you're still waiting and that you needed to slow down. I found that so profound when you're like, the Lord told me to slow down. I'm like, but wait, what do you mean? And then you explained it. And I was like, oh, that does in fact make sense.
It does. It does. It's amazing what he tells you.
Yeah. I think that's when the Holy Spirit comes in and like speaks to us because he is that greater force that you're talking about. Like he is in the Lord sent him to us to be a comforter and a guide and to counsel us. He's literally called the counselor. And I love what you were telling us your story about getting to counsel people in your house because that's the gift he's given you right now. You get to chat with these lovely humans and get to listen to their lives and give them some wisdom and let them feel seen while you're in your house and you're inviting them over. It's such a joy.
It is. I'm so blessed to be able to do that. And I used to always worry that my house wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfectly clean. I'm such a perfectionist. But that's kind of softened as time goes on, especially with having 14 grandkids and four and a half great grandkids. So I've kind of softened that. And having animals, having a dog, you know, who cares? As long as it's, reasonably clean and you're inviting them into your home, the thing that belongs to you, that looks like you, that says you. So that's all great.
Absolutely. I have
Mm.
another question for us today.
Yes.
Was there a season when God seemed more focused on shaping your character than advancing your calling? And what did that form in you?
Oh my. There were three. I'm going to say three. One as a child. How was I going to how was God going to make my character, build it? If it's in a very boundless, it has no boundaries, it's very, very frightening. Fear is such a basic emotion, underlies anger, all of it's a very basic one. And I was always ready to know what's going on and jump in there and help, even as a child. Um, my my father had anger issues, and I've forgiven him. Everyone has things, and in the way back in the 50s when I was born, or 40s when I was born, you didn't process all those. You didn't have all that information. So God decided that you are not going to turn the bad way. You're not going to be angry all the time. You're going to be busy. You're going to save. You are going to be a fixer. And so that was built in me. And the only way that I could make friends, I didn't think I was really anything anybody wanted to be with. That worthiness didn't get built in me. But I counseled people with a blow up doll and showed the ones without things, and you can fill it with good things and bad. God said to me, I got stuff for you to do down the line. You're going to be like this. That, okay, he handed me some things that I could overdo so bad that it would cause me problems. He knew that. And so I would have to listen to him over time because he's building this Build-A-Bear that could be a bear. And so early on, yes. Okay, that's number one. Number two, when I was in high school, I never thought I was pretty enough, good enough. I couldn't do a cartwheel. I tried out for everything. Uh, um, I always was guided to be a leader, and I never felt I was anything worth to do that. Somehow I wound up being the head of literary society, all kinds of things. Uh, Future Nurses of America. I wasn't going to be a nurse. I was going to be a doctor. Much more important. I had to be very important. Okay, so I was going to be a physician. I decided that. But I also loved I had an amazing literature teacher. No one liked her. She was very stoic. She was college level, and you had to be accepted in this class. And she's had a huge podium with a big book on it. It was her dictionary. She said, "You will be in this class. You have no excuse to leave. If you have to go to the bathroom, better do it now." She said, "Because you will be in this class and you will learn. Otherwise, you'll leave and you won't come back." She was amazing. I got to thank her many years later. She taught me about how powerful the word is, how how you can how your body language and how you say things. So all that. Okay. That started wondered if I could write.
Mhm.
So I tried out, took a risk, tried out for the newspaper, our little newspaper, and got to do that and loved it. And I felt comfortable in it, even though I was frightened. Okay.
Mhm.
So he did that. I got a scholarship to go to Ohio State to be a physician. That was my goal. I don't know if I had the right reasons to do that. Yes, I was a caretaker, but I wanted to have power. And I didn't think anything less than that would have power. Because most of the doctors that I had met were godlike and had big egos. Okay. So I went for the first 3 quarters. There were quarters at the time. I got called back home. My mother was very ill. She was in the hospital. I was always protecting my mother. And I went back. I said, I need to put it on hold. Can you hold my scholarship for another 6 months? They said, perhaps. Think about perhaps makes a difference, gives a lot of people a lot of leeway. I thought that meant they would keep it. They
Right.
didn't. They didn't. So I was devastated because I never felt that I had power. And I thought, "Oh, this is how I get it." A friend of mine was going into nurses training and they had one spot left out of 98. They had one spot left. They were taking 99 new nurses. If this is in the 50s and the need for nurses because of the war and all those things, they needed more. So I tried out for it and I thought, I'll be a nurse. And then when I get to be a doctor, because I'm still going to do that, I'll be nice to the nurses. Okay. So that was a devastating shock. It was more internally a shock than anything. And I would say to God, well, you told me, you led me here. You made me able to take these risks. You made me leader and have power. I didn't want to do that. Why are you doing this? And I thought, there'll be a reason. So I got into nursing. Oh my word. I have had the most amazing up and down and all around career that you could ever imagine. And because of the things that built me, good, bad, and indifferent, I was able to do all kinds of things as a nurse. I was a legal nurse consultant, had two businesses of my own, traveled the country, got to speak in front of 100 people. I was terrified. I, he said, I don't want you to be this little girl in the closet, frightened. I want to teach you how to encounter that, use it, and learn from it. Just listen to him. And one way of listening is to write down. So I was the head of the Nurses Association, corresponding secretary, had to type up a newsletter, got to meet all kinds of people. How exciting. And got to take care of patients. I got to be the glue between a physician. Nurses are the glue between the physician and the patient and the families. We see them every day. We touch them. We talk with them. We see them in pain, joy, recovery, and death.
Yeah.
So all of those things. So those are the three times in my life. My relationships with my husbands before I always married my father again. And that was not good. I had to do a lot of counseling to get over that. And one way I got over that was to forgive. Just forgive. That doesn't mean condone what someone does to you. Forgiveness is a big thing. No albatrosses, no rock that you hang around your neck and have resentments. It's just you can't fix it. It's done.
Yeah.
So those are those things.
Yeah, and one of the things I noticed in all your stories is the Lord put you in situations that you didn't necessarily want, but he still used you in them. And he created things in you, whether that was a new version of your character, whether that was patience, whether that was learning forgiveness, or even noticing your worth in some of those situations because of the background you had in other places. And he gets to use you even now, like in chatting with me and chatting with the people that you get to chat with on a normal basis. Like your stories are teaching things to us that we don't have to learn ourselves because you learn them for us. And so I love that in your waiting season, the Lord still used you, even when it wasn't what you necessarily wanted.
Yeah. He's pretty wise, and I think he laughs a lot of times. He
Oh,
said,
yeah.
"There she goes. There she goes again." You mentioned the word, Brianna, patience. Patience, forgiveness, and humility. I believe I always use 3 because I could go on, and you don't want me to. I Those 3 things are so important in any relationship, any job, anything. I really think that's important. So, he's still working on that one. I'm very I'm way ahead of the game. I'm on the stage before I have the script.
I see that in my life too, so that makes me giggle. Um, I have another question for us.
Yes.
So, what have you had to release, whether that was your expectations, your timeline, or your identity, in order to become who God is inviting you to be now?
Well, of course, I mentioned patience. Patience, it's not irritability. It's knowing when to wait, knowing when to pull on the brakes a little bit, knowing when to slow down. Even though the speed limit might be 55, you need to go 35.
Mhm.
Just because you need to, you're not good at stopping.
Mhm.
So, yes, he's still working on that one. I don't think you ever are perfect. No one is, and we always learn from our imperfections, laugh about them. I mean, my kids definitely laugh at, oh my goodness. They told me I had dementia because I couldn't remember where they were going last weekend, and I said, "I don't have your calendar. I can barely remember what I have to do every day." Like, "Oh, she's got dementia." I thought that must be the new word that they know, the millennials know now.
Mhm.
But yes, God is so, uh, uh, I kind of have to humanize him and know that he does laugh, that he has patience with me. He's had to have. I had sometimes in my life where had very bad decisions, bad, bad, that had a lot of consequences. And I had to pay those consequences. I had to learn there are consequences to what I'm doing now.
Hey, friend. I just wanted to tell you about something I made for you this month, and it is completely free. If you've ever found yourself scrolling through someone else's announcement, an engagement, a new job, a life that seems to be moving, and felt that quiet ache of wondering why yours feels like it's standing still, this is for you. It's called the Comparison Audit. It's a short, honest worksheet, only 4 questions, that help you figure out whose timeline you've actually been measuring yourself against. Because most of the time, the behind feeling isn't really about you. It's about a timeline you absorbed somewhere along the way that was never actually yours to begin with. It also includes a scripture reflection page and a borrowed prayer for the nights when the comparison feels loudest. It's free, it only takes a few minutes, and I think it might give you language for something you've been carrying for a while. You can find the link in the show notes or head to my Instagram at rihanna.ivy.hoff and grab it from my bio. Okay, back to our conversation.
So I think that is another way that he's giving me patience and allowing me to learn something that's very foreign to me. Of course, I use the computer to write my books and to look up and to research. And now I'm doing some ghostwriting, quite a few of those. And that is a whole different part of being an author. It's kind of your backup team. Then you have someone over here that wants to tell you a story that's aged hours and hours and hours. So I've had to say, I have 2 hours today. Tell me the most important thing you need to tell me about your life. It's a memoir. So I've done 5 ghostwriting. I'm learning about that. It's really, that's another thing that God's given me the ability to do, to have the faith that I can I can put the brakes on someone else
Mhm.
without feeling, I'm not, oh, I need to be tender. No, I'm sorry. I need you to look at me here and listen.
Yeah.
So, all that. So, yes, he never stops teaching, never stops whispering. I need to listen. Hearing is different. I hear you, but to listen to you, see your facial expressions, see what's behind you, what does that say? And how you talk to me and your smile and your laugh. That's so important, and I'm worried that we're losing that. Even the nurses, they have to type so many things. They barely get to go in and touch the patient. If you feel whether they're hurting, there's tension, so important to do that. And when you're with them and you're touching them, they'll talk to you more. So I think that I'm I'm sure that there's times that they'll get better at that, or other people will take over, but I worry so much about the whole, the whole gamut of conversation, that you're able to see me making goofy faces, how I look, what I'm paying attention to, am I listening to you? Yeah, so
Mm.
all that.
You've shared some very good insight with us, even the like talking to each other instead of being sucked into a computer or our phones or things like that. This conversation has been so good. Thank you so much for sharing your waiting experience, what the Lord's been doing in your life. Is there anything else you want to share with our listeners that we may have not gotten to touch on today?
Well, I have a new website.
Okay.
It's www.nancyjasenensley.com. It's a new website. My husband and I we had to do, so people get to see me in person. And we took 6 takes, and we were laughing so hard we couldn't get any. And my husband, he was sitting way up on the couch like this. And I said, no, 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 you need to sit comfortably. And so he's laying on the couch like this. So you would get a good laugh. Because we had to have cue cards, and my daughter was doing it, and she's dropping the cards. He's looking, he's trying to pick them up. I'm so agent said, Nancy, could you possibly do that again? 6 tapes. We haven't gotten one yet. So that isn't on there. But my books are on there, a little synopsis of the book, a little bit about me, and how you can access podcasts and all of those things. You can just hit it right on my new website.
Love that. We'll link that in our show notes so that our friends can just click it and it'll pop up on their screen and they'll be good to go.
Well, that'd be great. That would be
Perfect.
wonderful. I
Thank
so
you.
enjoyed this. It's been delightful.
So glad this has been so fun. I have giggled and this is so much insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Not Just Waiting podcast. I hope today reminded you that even in the in-between, God is working and you are not alone. If this episode encouraged you, would you share it with a friend? And don't forget to hit follow so you never miss a moment of truth, hope, and real conversation. You can find me on Instagram at rihanna.ivy.hoff and join the community over on Substack for deeper reflections and weekly encouragement. Until next time, take heart, friend. God is in the waiting with you.